A scratchy recording of former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg has been circulating on social media since Tuesday, appearing to show the billionaire presidential candidate defending the city's stop and frisk policy in starkly racial terms. Here's an excerpt from that recording.
95% of your murderers and murder victims fit one MO. You can just take the description, Xerox it, and pass it out to all the cops. They are male, minorities, 15 to 25. That's true in New York, it's true in virtually every city.
The audio clip was posted by podcaster and Sanders supporter Benjamin Dixon on Twitter and was taken from Bloomberg's comments at the Aspen Institute back in 2015. Bloomberg went on to say, quote, "We put all the cops in minority neighborhoods. Yes, that's true. Why do we do it? Because that's where all the crime is." On Tuesday morning, Bloomberg issued a statement apologizing, saying in part, "I inherited the police practice of stop and frisk, and as part of our effort to stop gun violence, it was overused. I regret that, and I have apologized, and I've taken responsibility for taking too long to understand the impact it had on Black and Latino communities." NBC News has learned that the Bloomberg campaign was aware of the 2015 recording and had prepared a plan for responding when it came out. Joining us now, the host of MSNBC's Politics Nation and president of the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton, and in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where Bloomberg is campaigning today, national political reporter for NBC News, Josh Lederman.
So Rev, this is very surprising for a lot of people, but for those, and I think we've talked about this before, you and I, for those that have followed Bloomberg's career, he actually gave an interview in New York Magazine where he said the same exact thing. He said it all comes down to data. He goes, there are two places in Brooklyn and in the Bronx. And this is where the majority of murders occur. You can put a circle around it. You can look at the demographics. You can look at data. And he said in this New York Magazine interview exactly what he said there, defending stop and frisk. We're putting the police where the crime is.
The difference about this tape is where he says minority communities is directly racial. And those of us that had protested stop and frisk had said all along it was race-based. We were called all kinds of names, saying we were trying to make something racial that was, in fact, a crime-fighting thing. He says you can do a Xerox copy. These are the ones doing the crime, which is racial profiling. Now, he has since apologized, since walked it back, but the policy was race-based. And for the president of the United States to put out that Michael Bloomberg was a racist when he supported this policy and went to Chicago last year and said we ought to have stop and frisk nationally is laughable. So the real downside for Bloomberg here politically is this is racial language coming out of his mouth. The upside is that every candidate in this race has a race problem. You have Klobuchar, who's been accused of a race case when she was a prosecutor in her home state of Minnesota that she has got to explain now that she's in the top three. You have Buttigieg with police problems. So I think that if anything, it's time for everybody to come to the altar and repent of their racial sins and try and convince the public and black voters in particular that they are really seeing the error of their ways, but they can't act like they did not do what they did and say what they said.
So for Mike Bloomberg, I feel he's got to really talk about this. He can't just profess, I'm sorry. I think it's got to be a conversation outside of his comfort zone. And because this is a policy, Rep, that he oversaw for years.
He was mayor 12
you could have
years.
learned and that this was a problem during the time. What am I missing? Because not only was it race-based, but it impacted the lives of thousands of African Americans, millions of minorities. Threw them off course. They're in lines in courthouses because of little, tickets that they got right and left. I mean, this is
But you're a mother.
A lot of people in real time saw a problem.
I think people need to understand this at home. You're a mother.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the anxiety families had every day that had kids 18 to 25 going outside saying, I hope my child is not thrown up against a wall. That's the language used, that they're not thrown up against a wall. At a time we had Seanville police killing and all. I mean, the whole community was living under siege.
And
that's why we were marching.
A white community, and you did that to kids. You'd find pot in their pockets and you'd put them in jail too. But it only happened to black kids.
Exactly, and that's what is identified there. And that's all we were saying. And we marched. I remember the NAACP and National Action Network. We had one march. Tens of thousands went to his house. It wasn't like we were not raising these issues.
So how does he deal with this? This is much deeper than...
He's going to have to come out of his comfort zone and have a real conversation with real people that were trying to deal with it. I'm talking about Center for Constitutional Rights and the New York Civil Liberty, all the people that were dealing with it. You can't just... I know he had a meeting yesterday with some black ministers and others who are very good, but he can't just talk to people that were not the advocates here. And he's got to really deal with this issue. He's got to do it.
And you have to be honest in how you jump into the debate. He's right factually in the statement he released in response to the video, but he didn't just simply inherit the practice.
Yes.
Between 2002 and 2011, stop and frisk increased sevenfold under Mayor Bloomberg's mayorship. And the New York Times fact-checked this. So he can't just simply try to fudge it. He's going to have to address the issue head-on and directly. If there's an issue here, particularly in the context of Black Lives Matter, he has to answer it.
Coming up, Andrew Yang is leaving the White House race, but isn't ruling out a return to politics. The former presidential candidate joins us next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.